All right, I think we're ready here, and you wanna. Well, welcome, beloveds, and welcome to this sacred, beautiful circle of people for this time of remembering and listening and honoring, and also a time for dreaming. If we haven't met yet, I'm Lydia Wiley Kellerman, the new director at Kirkridge, and I look forward to getting to know each of you and the stories and paths that have brought you to this place. We're going to begin with a song. So this is We Shall Be Known by Mamuse, and it's sung by Kateri and Lucia and I, who are all part of G's Magazine, with some images that I believe many of you will recognize. So settle in and find yourself welcomed on this beloved land. And while I'm slowly learning the story of this land as I settle my own body in this place, I know that while it has been loved by Kirkridge for 80 years, it also has an older story and has been loved by the Lenni Lenape peoples. So be welcomed.
We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle round to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. We shall be known by the company we keep, by the ones who circle around to tend these fires. We shall be known by the ones who sow and reap the seeds of change alive from deep within the earth. It is time now, it is time now that we thrive. It is time we lead ourselves into the well. It is time now, and what a time to be alive. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love. In this great turning we shall learn to lead in love.
So beautiful. Oh my gosh. Hi, I'm Diane Petaway, and on behalf of the governing board of Kirkridge, which I chair, I'd like to welcome you. We are, as Lydia said, honoring the spirit of the Lenni Lenape people who first made the land of Kirkridge their home. In that spirit, we welcome you. For the past 80 years, Kirkridge has been a home to tenacious spirits, to creative dreamers, and to change makers. 80 years, like longer than many of us have been alive, right? Our mission at Kirkridge, to be and become a people of hope, speaks to the tenacious dreamers of the past and to the next generation of justice seekers and peace workers and dreamers. So in that spirit, welcome. Wherever you have come from, however you found your way to us, we are so grateful that you are here. Our board invites you, each of you, into this evening of story and music and dreaming.
So we would like to invite folks to see who's here tonight. I'm already feeling really emotional, so we'll just see what's alive, and I'm here with you. We'd love to have, as Michael already started, just engaging in the chat so we can hear your voices and then we can spotlight some. So we'd love to know who is here, what groups, what retreats have you facilitated, have you attended as a retreatant, as a participant. Can you drop into the chat we'll be able to see your name, but what you're showing up with love for, and we can highlight and let some folks just hear each other's voices that way. So feel free. And as you start to write, I'll just make another formal introduction for those whom I don't know. My name is Marissa Metellica, and I am also representing, I'm a member of the board here. I'm the vice chair of governance for the board. And I'm seeing that that Rob who's another board member, is a lover of the land, is a Men of Faith group. Can we have folks who are representing Men of Faith group who are here with us come off mute and make a little noise so we can hear and see you?
I count 5 of us, Marissa, tonight.
Whoop, whoop. Loving it.
6 with myself.
That's beautiful. I know that.
Still here. Yeah.
Yes, thank you. Yes, feel free, chime in. That's what this is about.
Michael 80 here.
Yeah,
Yeah.
point here.
George Johnson here.
Great, we love it. Okay, I'm seeing Rebecca with Bread for the Journey. Are there any other folks who attended that? And can you raise your voices if you were there, if you can testify?
Yay!
Yeah.
One.
Yeah.
We were there, yes.
Yep. Poetry Festival.
Sandy Miriam, I was there.
Beautiful. What about gay men's spirituality retreats of any kind?
That was the 6 of us.
Here, here. Mark Giesler.
7.
Can we hear from the Courage Fellows, please? I know there's a whole ton of y'all.
There's a bunch of us. Diane Baker
here.
Yes. Shout out to the fellows.
Thank you for being here. What about, are there folks from Agape Retreat? I'm just loving as all of the chat rolls in. I'm like way behind where the chat is, which is wonderful. There's so much participation. Yes, feel free if there's a group that what about, do we have any tip folks with us right now?
I did a little bit with Tip, but that was a long time ago. Hey, everybody.
I'm a tip lover, if that counts.
Have a lot of Tip jewelry.
Hard not to like those folks.
Beautiful, beautiful. Are there any folks from retreats or programming that you would like to shout out that we have not already uplifted?
Carolyn McDade Singing Circle. There are at least 3 of us here.
Yes.
Shout out to Sally Hare.
Yay.
Sally is certainly the reason many of us have been connected to Kirkridge. What about any of the poets who meet regularly? I'm thinking of you, Juanita, and all the folks who are with you.
Hello, everyone, and also the Black Women's Retreat, Black Women's Self-Help, Self-Healing.
Thank you.
Shout out to the poetry of Jim.
Jim Rogers. And Courage faculty folks. Yeah, there's a bunch of y'all here.
Yeah, and shout out to Michael for the upcoming transgender retreat. Very excited about that.
Yeah, beautiful. Can we have a little just appreciation for anybody who's planning to attend an upcoming retreat? Just a wave or a hello, something to see who's got some jazz about something that's yet to come. Wonderful. Thanks, Pat. Hi. All right, wonderful. It's so good to just see and be able to connect, because although we may not have intersected, we all are drawn for whatever reason to this beautiful place. And it's so nice to connect with you all, even if we have been ships passing in the night. I continue to enjoy the chat and just, contribute there as you can. And I'm going to hand it over actually to Ernie and Micah via video for the opening meditation for us. Yep, so Erin, you can actually, yeah.
Hi, I am Micah Fialka Feldman. I serve on the Kirkridge board, and I am happy to do the fall fundraiser. And let's take a deep breath and let's enjoy the fall fundraiser and enjoy the time and have a great time with the fall fundraiser.
My name is Ernie Roundtree, and I'm a Kirkridge board member. And let's just take moments of relieving our day with some deep breaths for a couple of minutes. And release whatever stress is inside. I'm going to do it again. And out. Thank you, friends.
Thanks, Diane and Marissa and Ernie and Micah. I just want to say a huge thanks, especially to Ernie and Micah, who check in with me almost every day to see how the job is going and offer their support. And I'm so grateful for their love and kindness that they offer to Kirkridge, and we're lucky to have them on the board. I want to say a word about how we've designed this time together. The Fall Festival has become a bit of a tradition over the last few years. And it's been a time to gather online to celebrate with the Kirkridge community. It's also been our largest fundraising event of the year. And as we thought about this year, we realized we didn't want to have to ask you all again for money. Over the summer, this community poured out donations in honor of Jean. We raised $75,000. So while we will always need money to keep this wacky and wonderful place afloat, and we will ask you for money again, today we mainly want to say thank you. Thanks for all of the ways that you pour out love on this place through volunteer hours and board work and retreat offerings and online offerings and financial donations. It's huge, and we don't take a penny of that lightly. I also just want to say that I think it's a miracle that Kirkridge survived to the other side of the COVID crisis. And hopefully we're coming out on the other side of at least the crisis part. Not all retreat centers were able to survive, and it's in a large part to this community. So thank you. When the money started pouring in honor of Jean, it was clear how we needed to spend that. These buildings have mostly been sitting empty for 3 years, and things that needed fixing couldn't get done with so little income coming in. So we poured all of it into the buildings, and chimneys have been repaired and roofs have been patched, new signs have been put up, well caps have been repaired, trees have been cut down, the Hermitage is getting new gutters, Vandervent has a new roof, Turning Point has been re-graveled, Nelson has a new water chlorination system, and the farmhouse has a new boiler. So thank you all for just the generosity that has been poured into this place as we get it ready to welcome communities back to Kirkridge. It really is a gift to be able to just pause a moment and rejoice in that abundance and give thanks for this community. So we will move into this evening carrying that gratitude through into our 2 hopes for the evening. And the first is to acknowledge and celebrate the 80th anniversary. And the second is to take some time to listen to dreams that are beginning to emerge for what might come next on this sacred land. 80 years ago, the first Ridgeleaf paper was created outlining a vision for Kirkridge. And since then, Kirkridge has been home to so many experiments and gatherings and communities and conspiracies and retreats. It's been a turning point and a lifeline, a home, and a thin place. It's been a place to let dreams run wild, a place to honor abundance. And tonight we'll spend some time honoring some of the dreamers that have loved this place. We gather on November 1st at a time that is honored by so many cultures as a thin time, a time when the veil between the living and the dead grows thin. There are many dreamers and lovers and thinkers and organizers and mentors and friends who will always be part of the Kirkridge story, who have crossed to the other side of the veil. And we want to honor them in this time and call them into this circle. A couple weeks ago, I joined the men's retreat down at the Memorial Garden for a time of remembrance and calling of names. And so I invite us now to that place on the mountain. And while you let your body rest in that place, I invite you to call the names of the Kirkridge community that's beyond the veil, or any other ancestors you want here in this moment. And you can write it into the chat, or you can unmute and call their names out loud, and we may speak over one another, and that's okay. As we know, we'll let it be messy because we're messy, trusting that all these ancestors will enter the circle.
John McNeil.
Virginia Mollencott.
Hattie Smith.
Georgia Pace.
Garland Green.
Jane Bone Nelson.
Walter Wink, who gave the greatest hugs in the world.
Terry Flynn.
Jane Hampshire.
Okay.
I'd like to throw out the name of someone who I think started Kirkridge, John Oliver Nelson, Presbyterian minister many years ago. Another name, Jerry Judd. Jerry Judd was a leader back there in the very early 70s. And I would like to use some of the words that I associate with pray and picket. Pray and picket. And so many retreats there. Thank you.
Maine, Hampshire.
Eddie Smith.
Anna Berrigan. Thank you. We give thanks for each of these lives, for their love and their spirit and their beings. And we give thanks that the stones here at Kirkridge will always hold their memory. And now we're mindful that still so much of our history is very much alive. In these past few months, I have been thinking so much about the past directors, and they've become mentors and friends and co-conspirators. And I'm really grateful for the support that they've offered to me in the transition. I'm grateful for Bob and Cindy's hospitality in their home, for Cindy's excitement meeting up on the mountain, and especially for Jean and Pat, who welcomed me and Aaron and Isaac and Cedar to this mountain with wide open arms. Jean's wisdom and support have been such an incredible gift in this time of turning. Transitions can be messy and even painful, and this one has been full of so much love and generosity, and I'm so grateful. So as we look back at 80 years, we are gifted to have all but one of the past directors still living among us, all except John Oliver Nelson. And it's a gift to have a word, a story, a blessing from each of them tonight.
Happy memories and wonderful to meet many of you over the years. We send our love and prayers for our new director, Lydia.
And we send blessings on the ministry past, the ministry forward, and all good things. Love.
And with thanks to Jean for her ministry.
You might say, yes.
One of my favorite memories of Kirkridge was in the height of the AIDS epidemic. And we had an annual retreat for gay men that was led by a Jesuit priest who had been kicked out of his Jesuit order because he was in love with a man. But he did these wonderful retreats, which were very healing for so many gay men that came every year to Kirkridge to get that spiritual nourishment, not wanting to give up their faith, but also wanting to be authentic. And John was so terrific. And this one weekend, the men gathered at Nelson Lodge up at the top of the mountain. And down at the bottom of the mountain at the farmhouse, there was a Holistic Nurses Association. And they were experimenting with healing touch. And when I went down to welcome them and explained, what was happening at Nelson Lodge and to leave these men alone, they said, wait a minute. Would they be interested in having us come and do healing touch on them? And I said, well, I'll go ask. And the men said, absolutely, whatever it takes to heal. Maybe this will help us with our pain and our discomfort and our embarrassment and all of these issues that we have. Maybe this would be a healing thing for us. So the women nurses came up into this room of a very diverse group of gay men, all ill. And each one went behind the chair of the man that they were assigned to. And I was out in the hallway and I peeked in the window. And at one point I realized all of the men were silently crying as the women beamed all this positive, loving, and healing energy into these men. That is Kirkridge for me, the welcome, the ability to make room for people who can't afford to pay for it, but needed that healing, and these wonderful women who understood the importance of really sharing their gifts with these men in desperate need. And for Father John McNeil, our Jesuit priest, peacemaker, lover, spirit guide.
Hey, Lydia. Thanks for the invitation to share a story with you about my time at Kirkridge. Well, there were a lot of stories. And so while I'm a storyteller, I'm not going to tell you a story. I'm going to tell you about the phrases that held me together during that time and guided me on my way. The first one comes from our mission statement. It's the first line, to be and become. I believe Kirkridge is a place for people to come and be, to take a breath, to catch their breath, to sit and on the bench in the night and contemplate their place in the universe, to have a cup of coffee and watch the sunrise over the hillside. We live in a busy world. We need spaces where we can just be. And to become. Kirkridge was never meant to be a retreat away from the world, but a place of retreat in order to find the strength to go back into the world, to answer our deepest calling, our longing, to fulfill our dream for our lives that we have heard perhaps on the mountain. The second phrase comes from Dan Berrigan, which is innkeepers of the open door. Kirkridge Gate is wide. And Dan said during the 50th anniversary, he wrote that Kirkridge is a place that welcomes the widest and the wildest of human. It's also a place that's shaped like a heart. We offer radical hospitality with love. And we have set the pace for decades for extending welcome to those that the world and the church and society has set aside. The last phrase is together we're Kirkridge. And that phrase emerged during the time of COVID when we could no longer come to the place called Kirkridge. But in fact, we experienced that place called Kirkridge in the essence of Kirkridge, in the spirit of Kirkridge online. And so we had people who considered themselves part of the Kirkridge community that had never come. Together we're Kirkridge. That means as the leader of Kirkridge, you never are alone. There are people rowing in this boat with you, a board of directors, staff, friends of Kirkridge for decades, people who love this place and this mountain, donors. We will row with you as you lead us into the coming decades. Let's celebrate our 80th year with your arrival. The blessing we are going to offer as a community. It comes from John O'Donohue, the Celtic poet. It comes from his book, To Bless the Space Between Us. And it's entitled, A Blessing for Those Who Hold Power. You, Lydia, are the new director of Kirkridge, and we offer this blessing to you.
May the gift of leadership awaken in you as a vocation. Keep you mindful of the providence that calls you to serve.
As high over the mountains, the eagle spreads its wings. May your perspective be larger than the view from the foothills.
When the way is flat and dull in times of great endurance, may your imagination continue to evoke horizons.
When thirst burns in times of doubt, may you be blessed to find the wells.
May you have the wisdom to read time clearly and know when the seed of change will flourish.
In your heart, may there be a sanctuary
For the stillness where clarity is born.
May your work be infused with passion and creativity and have the wisdom to balance compassion and challenge.
May your soul find the graciousness
to rise above the fester of small mediocrities.
May your power never become a shell wherein your heart would silently atrophy.
May you welcome your own vulnerability as the ground where healing and truth join.
May integrity of soul be your first ideal, the source that will guide and bless your work.
We have been burned, burned by the fire. We have been burned, burned by the fire. And we are ashes, ashes and smoke. And we are ashes, ashes and smoke. But we will rise higher and higher. But we will rise higher and higher on the wings of compassion, justice and hope. On the wings of compassion, justice and hope. So that's the whole thing. You can go through it again. We have been burned, burned by the fire, and we are ashes, ashes and smoke, ashes and smoke. But we will rise, but we will rise higher and higher, higher and higher. On the wings of compassion, justice and hope. We have been burned, burned by the fire. And we are ashes. And we are ashes, ashes and smoke. But we will rise. But we will rise higher and higher on the wings of compassion, on the wings of compassion, justice and hope. We have been burned, burned by the fire. And we are ashes, ashes and smoke. But we will rise higher and higher on the wings of compassion, justice and hope. We have been burned, burned by the fire, and we are ashes, ashes and smoke. But we will rise higher and higher on the wings of compassion, justice and hope. We have been burned, burned by the fire, and we are ashes, ashes and smoke. But we will rise higher and higher on the wings of compassion,
We have been burned. Thanks to Jean and that whole beautiful circle for that blessing. Now we're going to transition into a time of dreaming, knowing that all of our dreams carry with them the gifts of history. I first fell in love with Kirkridge as a child. My sister and I were swept along from one retreat to another, and we would make small crafting corners in the basement of Nelson and sneak up past the circle of very serious adults to sneak hot chocolate. We ran through the stones at Columkill. We delighted when we would wake up to find the trees covered in ice, singing in the wind. Kirkridge is written into the landscape of my being. So I can't tell you what a gift it is to see my own kids, Isaac who's 9 and Cedar who's 6, also falling in love with the creatures and the trees here. And a few weeks ago when we held this staff and board retreat for G's Magazine up at Nelson, my own kids and my sister's kids and a couple of other kids joined into a gaggle, and we watched them in total delight as they fell in love with the buildings and the land here. So as we move into what comes next and what dreams will be birthed, I'd like to show you a little bit about the dreams already alive on this mountain, these kids, knowing that they too are part of the dreamers that will alter the trajectory of this place. And now we move into that powerful act of articulating dreams into words. These past few months have been so much about listening and connecting with the circles that are part of this place. But I'm also bursting with ideas and longings. Dreams can move slow. Dreams have needs that we might not yet have the resources for. But for now, we dare to utter them aloud, trusting that there's infinite space to hold our dreams, and we'll all see together what catches fire and how the future unfolds. So I'll share some of my dreams, and then I'm really excited to invite a few other folks to share some budding dreams. I dream of a resting place. Systems are crumbling. Politics are divided and deadly. The powers are wreaking havoc. The climate is in crisis, and it's enough to make you weep, enough to make you scream. It's enough for bodies to fall down in exhaustion. Fall down here. Rest here. Let this be a place where we can breathe and heal and hold one another. A place for silence, for tears, for laughter, and for singing. I dream of a garden overflowing with tomatoes and basil. a garden that feeds the kitchens, where the land gets inside of us. I dream of rain catchment systems and picnic tables, where weeding can be done in the quiet of a retreat break, to put your hands in the dirt as an act of healing and prayer. I dream about the land, wondering what she wants to speak into each of us. How can we learn from this ridge in a time of climate change? What does she whisper to our spirits, to our bodies? How can the land change us? I dream of environmental justice organizing, retreats on eco-spirituality and wilderness prophets, skill training on canning, permaculture, foraging, and cob building. I dream of composting toilets, solar power, and pizza ovens. I dream about the ways to spend more time falling in love with the land, to be quiet among the trees, to be in relationship with the toads and the snakes and the deer. I want to stick swings and benches deep in the forest. I want to build an outdoor chapel tucked away in the stones. I dream of a circle that will gather for several years, collecting, researching, listening, and learning the land story of Kirkridge, and then figure out how to share that story. I dream of a place where we can experiment with economics, a business model that resists capitalism, a model that moves away from scarcity to abundance and gift economy, a financial structure that takes justice and hospitality seriously. I dream of a place for artists and writers and activists. We need them. Let this be a place to retreat, to rest, to create. Their work nourishes us, it nourishes movement. How can we honor the creative hearts among us? I dream of a place that lights the imagination, that takes craft seriously. Crafting is a form of resistance, an act of soul tending, ancestry remembrance, and survival skills. Come make pottery, carve spoons, stitch quilts, and weave baskets. I dream of an intentional community, beloveds who live on this land and lean into a vocation of hospitality. Folks who can say with their voice and their bodies, welcome, welcome, come in. A community with hands in the soil that holds weekly and seasonal rhythms of life sharing and spirituality and meals, that invites the wider local community in. A community where you can come for a little while or stay a long while. I dream of a place that's always gathering circles to discern the signs of the times. In Grace Lee Boggs' words, what time is it on the clock of the world? How do we respond? How do we resist? How do we tend our souls? Dream of a place where actions are imagined, where organizing happens, where resistance is embodied, where we ask, what does the spirit of picket and pray mean right now? A place where we ask, what does it mean to be human? I dream of an intergenerational landscape, where the children and the elders are our teachers, where we listen to young folks and take their dreams seriously, but also where we hold one another in old age, love one another, and ask what it means to die well. I dream of a place that will continue to always welcome LGBTQ folks and tell the amazing history that has happened here, that will honor queer voices at the forefront of theology. I dream of a place that does the hard and crucial work of racial justice, internally within the organization and in our wider work, a space that can nurture racial healing. I dream of singing and stories and joke telling and tears and conflict and laughter and mess. Dream of bonfires and sledding and bread baking. I dream of births and deaths and all things ordinary. And more than anything, I hope wrapped into all of these dreams is a desire and a commitment to stay awake and to love this land. And now I want to invite 4 folks to join us and take a few minutes to share some of their dreams that are happening at Kirkridge. First is Estrus, who's part of the Courage faculty and the trustee of Justice. Then Kateri, who's the associate editor of G's Magazine. then Joyce, who will be moving here to Kirkridge as part of forming an intentional community, and lastly, Marissa, to speak into the racial healing initiative that has begun. So Estris, welcome.
Thank you, Lydia. And wow, what a powerful voice you've offered, as well as others. It is an honor and a great joy to share briefly on behalf of fellow faculty trustees, Vita Goler, trustee of Hope, Martha Timberlake, trustee of Compassion, Sandy Merriam, trustee of Service, and myself, trustee of Justice, to share a brief poetic glimpse of our hopes and dreams as faculty, as trustees, as human beings, and becoming together. So we invite you to co-create with the spaces that we seek to inspire both our emerging and our long-held dreams, anchored in our hearts by deep practices and courageous commitments defying convention. And so I want to pull a few gleanings from the found poem we used last spring at the March Kirkridge Courage faculty meeting. And I say gleanings, pulling fragments of this beautiful poem and then putting in some words that have lifted up in our various conversations as trustees. Now in this moment of transitions, thin places and thin times, I love the voices at this table. Voices of hope, voices of compassion, voices of justice, and voices of service, reflecting diverse vantage points from many walks of life, global ancestral origins, kindred and chaotic, not distracted by infrastructure, nor dismayed by deferred dreams, resisting the desire to follow old paradigms, putting positive energy in the world, infusing old language with new stories, daring to look at power, ours and others. You inspire me, you challenge me, you comfort me, you heal me, you bless me. We do our own inner work so we can see a path forward, weaving a whole cloth of our many threads, being and becoming, imagining who we are together, honoring where we came from without getting stuck there. Energy comes from where we put our attention. Now, in this moment of transition, love the voices at this table.
Wow, thank you so much. That was beautiful. Hey everyone, I'm Kateri. It's really good to be here with you all. I'm tuning in live from the G's office, which is in a beloved church home, St. Peter's Episcopal Church in Detroit, Michigan. And I'm really grateful to be in this space and talking a little bit about G's and also our dreams for how G's can grow with Kirkridge. So G's Magazine, for those of you who don't know, was started in 2004 in Winnipeg, Canada. And it started with a tagline, "Holy mischief in an age of fast faith." And then it transitioned to what it is currently, which is contemplative cultural resistance. But we still try to keep some mischief going along with all our contemplation. So it's a quarterly print magazine. We're ad-free and printed on recycled paper, pitch-based. So a lot of our folks that write are not professional writers. A lot of our artists aren't professional artists, but it's community folks, hopefully people like all of you. And G's came to Detroit a few years ago, almost 4 years ago now, when the founding editor, Aiden Enns, was looking for a new team to take over the magazine. And he knew Lydia. Lydia had been writing for G's and part of the community, and he asked her if she would be willing to take it on as the editor. And Lydia did things then as is one of her so many gifts, which is building a team relationally. So the team was really grown through the relationships that Lydia already had. She brought on her sister Lucy, who had experience doing design, our bookkeeper M, who had been doing bookkeeping work for this church that I'm sitting in, and then brought me on to do editing work and circulation. And our little team has been going for the last few years with different folks coming and going, and continuing to make the magazine and other community resources. And when G's moved to Detroit, it had just been, based in Canada, but had this international audience. And so we've worked to continue that. We still have our Canadian roots, but we also joined roots with another organization, which G's eventually came under the umbrella of, which is Word and World. And some of you might have heard of Word and World. It was a nonprofit that did different kinds of movement school work, intersections of activism and Christianity, deep learning, out of place, and community. And so G's came into these roots of Word and World, and ever since we've been figuring out ways to carry that spirit on with us. And this move to Kirkridge is an amazing way that I think Word and World roots are continuing on with G's. We're really excited about continuing the history of retreat and place-based gathering, community conversations, and deep connection. We continue to make a quarterly print magazine, as well as other community resources. Some of our recent themes were on global solidarity and resistance, healing sex, the holy fool, and we have an upcoming issue that we're working on now on crafting as resistance and solidarity. We're going to work on an issue on bread and wine coming out in the spring, and then a kids issue next summer. And with each of these themes that we're dreaming of, we're already dreaming of ways that Kirkridge can be part of that, hosting retreats for writers and artists, or for the whole community to come and gather and celebrate the issue or help us work on it. And we, as a print magazine, one of the things that we value so much is creating community, even though it's sort of a funny way to do it because all of us end up in our own little homes just reading to ourselves. But so to have a physical space that we can start to gather at is just this really beautiful complement to the work that we're already doing around building community across time and space. So one of the ways that we've already started our dreaming with Kirkridge is through this community conversation series, which we're hosting monthly, collaboration between G's and Kirkridge. So we just gather for an hour each month to talk about some kind of question that we hope at the end of the hour we'll only have more questions about than answers. And the next conversation is going to be on what do we make of the midterm elections. So that's in a couple of weeks. Hope you can join us. And then we'll gather again and talk about nonviolence in January together. So just really looking forward to connecting with all of you more. And we know that we can't even dream of all the dreams that we'll get to experience, but we're excited to be opening these relationships and these connections. Thanks for having me.
I'm Joyce, and it's great to be with you all. When Lydia asked me to say a few words about intentional community at Kirkridge, I thought immediately of an image that we used when I was part of Sojourners community in Washington, D.C., a three-ring circus. It referred to the joyful chaos that I think is part of any experiment in intentional community. And it also reflected our structure. We were a circle of people committed to living together and deeply sharing our lives. Around us was a second ring, the neighborhood in which we nurtured friendship and ministry. And beyond that was our connection with national and international efforts for justice and peace. I see Kirkridge in a similar light. There's always been community at Kirkridge, from the founding visionaries to the staff who have scheduled retreats and repaired buildings and cleaned rooms, to the throng of volunteers who have generously offered their time, skills, and financial resources to keep Kirkridge going for 8 decades. So anything new that emerges is always built on what has gone before. 8 of us so far, 6 adults and 2 children, have responded to an invitation from Lydia to create intentional community at Kirkridge, which we are all very excited about. We won't all be there physically for a few months. So I can't say a lot about the shape of our life because it's still very much in formation. But we know that it will include a rhythm of communal meals, Lectio Bible study, and prayer. We intend to live simply, vulnerably, joyfully, and sustainably, to cultivate a big community garden, which is already underway, to share skills of pottery and woodworking, and to encourage one another to deeper faith, to greater compassion, and to bolder courage. We see an important part of our role as supporting Lydia, who I believe is the juggler of this circus, and the work of Kirkridge. We look forward to welcoming and hosting retreatants, to occasionally facilitating rituals and retreats, and to responding to whatever else is asked of us. We're excited that we got to experience a taste of the second ring when we were all at Kirkridge last week. We saw the amazing glass studio on site where folks with intellectual disabilities create bright and beautiful soap dishes and night lights. We met with a group that included the directors of SYNC, the addiction recovery community, who are interested in starting an outside wild church on the ridge. We walked through the mystical beauty of Columkill, looking forward to deeper connection with that community and its rituals. And we hope to host many celebrations for our neighbors throughout the year. Singing circles, bonfires, cider pressings, barn dancing, dances, storytelling times, and whatever else our imaginations conjure. Each of us brings history with the third ring, justice and peace efforts, healing, and spiritual growth. We're writers, pastors, organizers, and a civil engineer who are committed to connecting with and cultivating the broader Kirkridge community here in the US and abroad. The center was birthed in resistance to war and fascism, and we want it to continue as a vital resource for connection and hope in a world in which people, democracy, and the planet itself are increasingly imperiled. Today is Dia de los Muertos, the Day of the Dead. When I was living in North Carolina a few years ago, I was part of a bilingual women's group that created an ofrenda every year on this day. We placed pictures of our departed loved ones on our altar, along with flowers and their favorite foods, fruit, pastries, chocolates, and bottles of hot sauce. The first time we built our ofrenda, 3 words came to me: remembrance, gratitude, and beauty. So as 8 of us begin a new journey at Kirkridge, we're grateful to be stepping into a place of rich history in a space of stunning beauty. We honor what has been as we move toward what will be. And we carry close to heart these words from the letter to the Ephesians, giving thanks to God who, by the power at work within us, is able to accomplish abundantly far more than all we can ask or imagine.
Just giving a breath of space before I speak, because I am so moved and so grateful for all who have spoken before me, and so grateful about the incredible generative energy that I feel from what you have raised. And I'm seeing people in the Zoom room nodding with me. So I know I'm not alone, and that makes my heart slow down a little bit, enough to try to find the words to just share what is my part to share. Again, I'm Marissa. I am on the board of Kirkridge, but I am also in this moment representing the Racial Healing Initiative, which is for which I am a core consultant on a small team, much because of the beloved influence of Sally Hare, who is an expert weaver of worlds. And so as a core consultant at the Racial Healing Initiative, I am one of these consultants who is tasked with doing this work, which is bringing racial equity into more deeply into retreat centers nationwide. And it's specifically with retreat centers who are hoping to continue to be places of being and becoming and hope and justice as the world rapidly changes. And to support those retreat centers that wish to adapt and change with the changing world, and the ever-growing need to create safe spaces that are not only for those who have been traditionally served, which tend to overwhelmingly be white folks, but to add as a true core of that hope for a new world, rather than as an inflection of the work, to put racial equity at the heart of that work. And so I recognize that I am a white woman here speaking to you about this. I work in partnership with BIPOC individuals, and by that I mean Black and Indigenous and people of color. And these teams are paired with a retreat center in order to support that retreat center in bringing racial equity and racial justice, not as an inflection of the work that they're doing, but into the heart of the work that they're doing, or more deeply into the heart of the work that they're doing. And so Kirkridge is one of the retreat centers that has applied and been accepted to take on this work. And so I will not be a facilitator of that work, but my colleagues will be supporting Kirkridge throughout that journey, which will be, it looks different for every retreat center, but basically is some coaching or some workshopping and some focus groups and some conversation and deep dialogue, and perhaps a retreat, in order to begin or continue or advance the lifelong journey of doing the work of racial justice and racial equity. I love what Estra said about we do our own work so we can see a path forward. That is precisely my hope for Kirkridge's relationship with the Racial Healing Initiative, and very much the intention of that initiative. And also, as Estris noticed, where attention goes, energy flows. So that is the initiative that has already begun. We intend to put some real focused energy there so that we may live into those values as we journey on in this vision of being and becoming a place of hope. Thank you all. Gifts upon gifts upon gifts. And these are just to name a few. We know that the men's retreat is dreaming, and Sisterly is dreaming, and Sync Recovery is dreaming, and Wild Church is dreaming, and the Center for Renewal and Wholeness is dreaming, and TIP is dreaming, and you may be dreaming. And know that I would love to hear your dreams. This is a season of abundance where we will scatter dreams like seeds and see what begins to grow. And now, as we shift towards beginning to draw this time to a close, I want to invite Juanita to share.
Oh boy. I think I'm a little unprepared to share. I just want you to understand that I do have a glass missing because I've had cataracts, so removal. So that's why it looks so funny. I am so moved and so blessed to be a part of this community. Coming here to Kirkridge, I live within 20 minutes away. I've done lots of workshops before I became a board member. I love the dreaming. I love the dreaming, and I have dreams too. And they're all part of who we are together. And I believe that dreams come true because they have been coming true as we have this new wonderful director, Lydia, and your family, who I've grown so loving of your boys, Isaac and Cedar. They're just absolutely wonderful to see the family on the mountain. But going back to where we are now and where we came from through COVID and where we're going to be going up this beautiful ladder of love and dreams and possibilities. I am full to see all the so many faces and all the history and all the possibilities, the old folks, the not so old folks, and the young folks. And we've got to march together. Thank you, Marissa, for the healing of justice and bringing all of us together, no matter who you are, no matter your background, your age, BIPOC, or whatever. We need the allies and we need to be working together. Thank you so much. This is just remarkable. I'm blessed and I'm going to be marching and praying and dreaming. Thank you.
I want to name a few announcements too as we go forward. Check out our programs page for upcoming programs. By the end of the week, we should have all of our online programs through February listed. And I want to mention one event specifically, and it's already been lifted up, but that's creating safe and affirming spaces for transgender and non-binary children. It is an incredibly important that we're gathering together in this moment to have that conversation. Trans children are under attack from every direction, and we all need to be part of this conversation. This is going to be a hybrid event in 2 weeks. If you can come in person, please come. You can register through tomorrow. And otherwise, I'll hope that you'll join us online, and we'll share all of that in the chat too, so you can find the links. Lastly, keep an eye out in early January for a full list of retreats for 2023. And we hope that starting in March, we're going to be opening the doors wide for a full year of programming on the mountain. And we hope that you will join us in one place or another. I'm very grateful to everyone who helped make this program happen, especially my partner Erin for her tech hosting, and Daniel Wiley-Eggert, who created and ran the video components. I'm so grateful for this circle and this time together and their sacred place of Kirkridge and what it has been the last 80 years and for all that comes next. And Diane is going to sing for us.
It's going to happen. Before I lead us all in this beautiful song that is really about this beautiful time. It's a song by Carrie Newcomer. I do want to just lift up that although we designed this what an incredible, beautiful time it has been. I wouldn't have missed it for anything. I'm just so blown away by the collection of dreams and visions and love. We wanted to build this evening as an evening of stories, but we always will accept any donation that you choose to give. The building and the living into these dreams takes a financial commitment, and we just are aware of your and grateful for your generosity wherever we find it. So I'm going to teach you this little bit of Carrie Newcomer's song. Here's the chorus, and in a minute the words will come up so that you can sing with me. You know, on Zoom, look, there it is. You might have to make them bigger, Daniel, but I'm not sure. So here are the words to the chorus. If not now, tell me when. Like, isn't that beautiful? If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. So here's the chorus. I'm going to pretend that I can hear you. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. Sing it with me, that chorus. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. Here's a beautiful verse about the week coming up. I see sorrow and trouble in this land. Same word, same melody. I see sorrow and trouble in this land. Although there will be struggle, we can make the change that we can. Although there may be struggle, we'll make the change we can. If not now, tell me when. Sing the chorus. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. I may never see the promised land. We may never see the promised land. And yet we'll take this journey. We'll walk it hand in hand. If not now, tell me when. I know you know the chorus by now. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never see this moment or place in time again. If not now, tell me when. Here's a little middle part. So we'll work until it's done. Every daughter, every son, every soul that ever longed for something better, for something brighter. It might take a change of heart for this to mend. It might take a change of heart for this to mend. But miracles do happen every shining now and then. If not now, if not now, tell me when. Sing the chorus one last time. If not now, tell me when. If not now, tell me when. We may never have this moment or place in time again. If not now, if not now, tell me when. If not now, if not now, tell me when.
Thank you all. I'm going to unspotlight myself and we'll stop the recording, and you are welcome to stay and visit with one another or to go and get some rest.